Ladies and gentlemen, the United States is preparing to enter one of the greatest climatic shifts since the beginning of autumn. After many days of record-breaking cold spreading across the eastern and southeastern states, especially Florida, where dozens of low-temperature records were shattered, the Arctic air mass is now beginning to retreat into the Atlantic Ocean. In its place, a massive warm air mass from the Gulf of Mexico is about to surge northward, covering nearly the entire central and southern regions of the country. This temperature reversal will plunge the nation into a bizarre stretch of weather in which freezing cold, blizzards, and intense heat could coexist within just a few days. At present, the cold low-pressure system still lies deep over the northeast, drawing Arctic air from Canada down as far as Florida. According to reports this morning, more than 40 locations in Florida and Alabama set new record lows. Tallahassee dropped to just 25-degree Fahrenheit, the lowest level since the beginning of the century, while Huntsville, Alabama, fell to 20 degrees Celsius. Particularly in central Florida, temperatures of 35 degrees Celsius appeared for the first time in November since 1981, meaning the United States has not experienced such an early cold wave in over 4 decades. The freezing air reached most southeastern states, forcing millions to turn on heating systems while autumn hadn't yet ended. Citrus farms in northern Florida reported localized damage, while thin frost layers formed on inland lakes, something typically seen only in January. However, weather maps show that this cold spell is nearing its end. The cold, high-pressure system is weakening as it moves offshore into the Atlantic. While in the southwest, a tropical high-pressure center is forming over the Gulf of Mexico, paving the way for warm and dry air to surge northward into the Central Plains, completely reshaping the nation's weather pattern in the coming days. The key factor behind this transformation lies in the jet stream. Last week, this upper-level flow dipped from the northwest to the southeast, pushing cold air deep into Georgia. But starting midweek, the jet stream ridge will rise, pulling the warm mid-tropospheric air mass northward. On model maps, one can clearly see the cold trough fading over the east coast, while a high-pressure dome builds over Texas. This trough ridge pattern will create a continent-scale temperature reversal. The east will stay slightly cool, while the rest of the U.S. heats up. From Thursday to Friday, the warmest region will be Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, where temperatures are expected to run 20-30 degrees above normal. Some cities such as Dallas, Wichita, and even Des Moines could hit 90 days in mid-November, something rarely seen in the past 50 years. As the central region prepares for warmth, the U.S. West Coast faces a new storm. A Pacific low-pressure system is approaching California, Oregon, and Washington, bringing heavy rain, gale-force winds, and deep mountain snow across the Sierra Nevada, Cascade, and northern Rockies ranges. According to the National Forecast Center, rainfall in Northern California may reach 150 millimeters, while mountainous areas above 2,000 meters could receive up to 60 centimeters of new snow within just 48 hours. This will be the first winter snow event for the western states, and the snowpack will serve as a vital water reserve for the upcoming dry season. As the storm crosses the Rockies, it will split into 2 new low systems, one drifting into Canada to bring cold rain to the Great Lakes and New England, and another moving southward, directly affecting Texas and the Central Plains, creating favorable conditions for thunderstorms, gusty winds, and possibly small tornadoes over the weekend. Both major American and European weather models agree that the United States is entering a period of strong reversal. Simulation runs show that by Friday, the cold air will have been pushed out into the Atlantic, while warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and the southwestern deserts expands north into central Canada. As a result, average national temperatures will soar, except for New England, which will remain mildly cool. States from Texas to South Dakota may run 20 to 30 degrees above normal. Even near the Saskatchewan border in Canada, an abrupt warm-up is expected. This marks one of the fastest temperature phase reversals of 2025, shifting from 15 or below normal to 20 or above within less than 5 days. NOAA experts believe this is a sign that the Arctic oscillation is shifting from a negative to a positive phase, raising the jet stream and causing a phenomenon known as midwinter summer. Regarding rain and storms, the two most affected regions over the next few days will be the West Coast and the central United States. On the West Coast, the Pacific storm will strike with gusts over 100 km/h and prolonged, heavy rainfall. In the central states, where hot, humid air meets the lingering cold, strong thunderstorm bands will form later this weekend. Forecasts for Saturday and Sunday show two low-pressure centers developing near the Rockies and moving eastward. The southern low could bring hail and windstorms to Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Tennessee, while the northern one will cause cold rain across the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, with possible light snow along the Canadian border. Along the East Coast, conditions will stay dry and cool, but early next week, as Gulf moisture flows into the Atlantic, showers and thunderstorms may return to the Carolinas, Georgia, and northern Florida. Today, the East remains deeply cold. Morning temperatures generally range from 20 to 35 degrees, with mountain areas dropping below 15 degrees. Daytime highs reach only 40 to 50 degrees along the Atlantic, while the Midwest and Southwest warm to 65, 80 degrees. By Wednesday, the cold weakens, and the Southeast rises quickly to around 60 degrees, while central and southern states hit 80 degrees. From Friday onward, the heat spreads widely, especially across the Great Plains, where highs could reach 85, 90 degrees. Over the weekend, even Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit, recently blanketed by snow, will see 70 degrees, causing rapid melt. Early next week, as the high-pressure ridge drifts into the Atlantic, another cold front from Canada will sweep into the northern U.S., lowering temperatures again, especially around the Great Lakes and the Northeast. However, this next cold snap will be milder, not as extreme as early November's freeze. The northeastern United States will continue to experience scattered light snow over the next 48 hours, mainly from lake effect activity around Erie, Ontario, and Michigan, totaling 5 to 15 centimeters. The northwestern states, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, facing the Pacific storm, may receive up to 60 centimeters of mountain snow, accompanied by strong winds and avalanche risks. Travel warnings have been issued for Donner Pass and Snoqualmie Pass. According to the Storm Prediction Center, marginal to slight risk levels are in effect for the central and southern U.S. this weekend. Hazards include wind gusts of 50 to 70 km/h, hail 2-14 in diameter, brief tornadoes, and heavy rain causing localized flooding along the Mississippi River. The SPC also notes the possibility of a 2 to 3 day sequence of severe weather starting Saturday evening. Meanwhile, the Southwest, New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado will see mountain thunderstorms and flash floods. California faces landslides and mud flows due to heavy rain following a long drought. Meteorologists explain that this chain of weather changes results from the simultaneous phase transitions of the Arctic Oscillation, AO, and the Madden-Julian Oscillation, MJO. As the AO turns positive, stronger westerlies push cold air out of the U.S., while the MJO moves into a convectively active phase over the Pacific, sending moisture into North America. When AO and MJO align, the U.S. experiences abnormal warmth, followed by a reinforcing cold surge the following weekend. This interplay is expected to last through Thanksgiving, making November one of the most temperature-volatile months in 2 decades. For agriculture, the recent cold may have caused minor damage to fruit-growing regions in Florida, Georgia, and southern Alabama. However, the upcoming warmth will favor the Midwest harvest season, especially for corn and soybeans. The energy sector is likely to fluctuate sharply. After last week's sudden heating demand surge, natural gas prices may ease as the southern and central states turn warm. For tourism and transportation, the warmth will reduce icing delays for airlines. but heavy rains in the west could still cause flight disruptions. Mountain residents are advised to avoid nighttime travel due to poor visibility and deep snow. From November 12 to 18, most of the U.S. will remain dry and warmer than normal. Afterward, forecast models suggest a new cold air outbreak from Canada around November 19-20, starting in Montana and the Dakotas and spreading into the Midwest. This cold wave could bring early snow to the Great Lakes and Appalachians, marking the beginning of the winter storm cycle. By month's end, national temperatures are expected to return to seasonal norms, while forecast centers are monitoring a Pacific low that could cause a major rainstorm along the West Coast during Thanksgiving week. Meteorological agencies advise residents in the east to stay alert for early morning frost to protect crops and water systems. Central and southern communities should prepare for thunderstorms and potential tornadoes, especially along the Mississippi Valley, and western regions must heed flood and landslide warnings over the next 3 to 5 days. Local governments in California, Colorado, Wyoming, and Washington have activated Level 1 emergency alerts for heavy snow risks, while the SPC continues to update early severe weather maps for the weekend. In summary, the United States is witnessing one of the most complex seasonal transitions of 2025. From record cold to record warmth, from dry chill to fierce rainstorms, and from melting snow to violent thunderstorms, all within a single week. Experts believe this phenomenon reflects strong oscillations in the global climate system, where the growing temperature contrast between the poles drives abnormal fluctuations across the mid-latitudes. In the days ahead, as winter approaches, America's weather will bring more surprises, and the most important thing now is for people to stay prepared, keep informed, and safeguard their families and communities against the unpredictable forces of nature.